majority draw, so they're just gonna have to do that shit over. I think it was a scheme so they could have a rematch anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole thing, so they could do the rematch anyway. Cause you can't be like, you gotta beat the champ if you want.
The rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach is officially happening right after the New York State Athletic Commission issued its final ruling on their controversial fight. The boxing world has been set on fire with debates, and fans are divided over whether justice was truly served.
We literally saw the mental breakdown of Tank. Like, again, if you got that elite level Y, you know what you saw. He was intimidated by Roach, and it was like baffling to see. Why was he moving? Because to me, he was intimidated by Roach. To me, Roach.
The NYSAC just decided to uphold the original result of a majority draw, despite admitting that referee Steve Willis made errors in the 9th round. Willis started a count but bizarrely stopped midway, allowing Davis to return to his corner, where his team illegally wiped his face before the round continued. That alone should have been a disqualification, yet Davis walked away with his undefeated record intact. The commission acknowledged that the correct call would have been to rule it a knockdown, but justified its decision by saying the referee's discretion is final.
Hey, yo, pass me the mic, man. These boys fought almost a week ago. It ain't been a week yet. But Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, man. It was a draw. But Davis is talking about fighting again in May. Davis, I don't think you want to do it. My boy might.
Many fans and fighters now feel that Roach was robbed of what could have been the biggest victory of his career. Even Canelo Alvarez didn't hold back, saying, "He take a knee. You need to lose like 10, 8 that round at least. And plus the corner go up and put a towel in his face. That's disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules." Canelo's words just reflect what many already believe, that Davis got preferential treatment and was protected by officials who were hesitant to stain his record.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but it's not my business.
Roach himself took to social media to express his frustration, but remained composed. "Look, man, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, I ain't sue nobody. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf. What does it look like not having a team that doesn't pull that trigger on some S that they know was wrong? They stood up for me. So all that lawsuit is y'all can put to rest," he posted on X. He then made it clear that he wasn't expecting a reversal of the decision, but he knows the world saw him win. "Everyone knows I won the fight, and I'm satisfied with that."
It's knowing the fighter, but knowing the corner too. He did tell me, he said he probably gonna come out a little harder the next round. They probably told him something. And then I guess when you go back and watch it, they did give him a little, like,
Part 2 on the way. And just like that, the rematch has now been set in motion. The WBA wasted no time and ordered an immediate rematch, which Davis surprisingly welcomed. He claimed he'd be ready as early as May, but let's be honest, does he really want this fight again? The way he looked in the ring, gassed and struggling against Roach's pressure, tells a different story. Boxing politics are in full effect here. Davis keeping his undefeated record intact, despite a controversial fight, benefits promoters, networks, and sanctioning bodies who profit from his status. Imagine the damage a loss to Roach would have done to the financial machine behind Davis. Ticket sales, pay-per-view numbers, and big money fights would all take a hit. So, did the NYSAC protect Davis because they believed in the referee's decision? Or was it about keeping a cash cow from taking an L? That's the real question.
Nah, to be honest, I've really made it competitive, for real, to be honest. But for sure, Lamont's a great fighter. He got the skills, like I said before. He got punching power. It was a learned lesson, Shout out to Lamont Roach and his whole team.
Roach knows what happened that night, and so does Davis. No matter how much Davis tries to play it cool, deep down he knows he was inches away from his first loss. And now, he has no choice but to do it all over again. Roach, on the other hand, has nothing to lose and everything to gain. If he fights the same way but applies even more pressure, Davis might not be able to escape this time.
it should have been a knockdown, one. So that's why I'm yelling at the referee, like, keep counting, like, you tripping, keep counting. That's a knockdown. Because if y'all didn't notice, he started the count. He started the count.
He did.
And then he stopped.
And let's talk about Steve Willis, the referee at the center of this storm. This is the same guy who has built a reputation for making dramatic facial expressions during fights, but now people are questioning his judgment. How do you start a knockdown count, stop midway, and then act like it never happened? And what was going through his head when he let Davis's corner illegally wipe his face? If Willis made these decisions out of incompetence, he shouldn't be officiating high-stakes fights. But if there was another reason, a deeper, more intentional motive, then boxing has a much bigger problem than just a bad call.
Was he outboxing me? Was he using the ring to set me up with certain shots or anything like that? No.
Davis, of course, remains defiant. His camp insists that he was never hurt, that he didn't deserve to lose a point, and that Roach just wasn't good enough to beat him decisively, but the footage says otherwise. The knee touched the ground. The count started. The illegal corner assistance happened, and yet Davis still walked away with his record untouched. How much more protection does he need? The rematch is set to be explosive. Roach now has an even bigger chip on his shoulder. He's not just fighting to win a title. He's fighting against a system that he feels screwed him over. Davis, on the other hand, has the weight of proving that he can actually beat Roach clean without any controversy.
People are saying that Lamont caught him with a good, left, and then, that's why Tank went ahead and took a knee because he was just trying to spare some time. But when I really got a chance to look at it, he really rolled that punch, and if you can see his braid.
Fans are already split on what to expect. Some say Davis will come in more aggressive and put Roach away early to silence the doubters. Others believe Roach has cracked the code and will apply even more pressure to expose Davis's weaknesses. However, some of the pros are still siding with Tank, calling it just a bad night, and Jaron Boots Ennis is leading the line. While the entire boxing world erupted over the controversial draw between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., Ennis has kept it cool. He didn't buy into the outrage, the conspiracy theories, or the idea that Davis got away with something. Instead, he gave credit where he felt it was due. Both fighters put on a great performance.
He told him and really take it from him, and I felt as though that Lamont did a great job at that, and he was trying to catch and counter him and things like that, but I don't know. I think he caught Tank off guard a little bit, maybe, but and the Tank wasn't really focused in the corner. He was arguing with Calvin or one of them. I don't know. It's just a lot of things. We don't know what was going on in camp,
And in his eyes, the draw wasn't a robbery. It was a great fight, Ennis said, and that was the simplest way to put it. He had Davis edging at 115, 113, but he wasn't mad at the official decision either. That's a rare take in a sport where every close fight turns into a full-blown controversy. Most fighters, trainers, and fans were split into two extreme camps. Either Roach was robbed, or Davis got unfairly criticized. But Ennis? He sat right in the middle, respecting both men's performances. Lamont, he did a great job actually. I just don't think he did enough to pull it off. And I feel like people was overlooking what Tank was doing in the first 5-6 rounds, Ennis explained.
I just so happen to be a boxing fan that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch clause, how long will it take?
It's up to...
He wasn't wrong either. Two of the official judges saw Davis controlling the early part of the fight, winning 5 out of the first 6 rounds. But because the fight ended in controversy, nobody wanted to talk about that. Instead, all the energy was focused on that 9th round. And that's where things got messy. Davis clearly touched the canvas with his knee, and everyone knows what that's supposed to mean, a knockdown.
He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow, and I could have took advantage of. I think I was boxing too much in the beginning, and when I feel like...
Ennis didn't argue against that. In fact, he admitted straight up that the referee should have made the call. But even then, he wasn't ready to scream foul play. He saw 2 possible explanations. 1, Davis's superstar status influenced the moment, or 2, the referee just froze under pressure. Anybody else, they would have made that a knockdown. I didn't know what was going on, Ennis said, hinting at the possibility that Davis got special treatment. But then, in almost the same breath, he gave a more charitable take. It might have been a big moment for the referee. The referee didn't know what to do, or things like that. Mistakes happen. Things happen. It's boxing at the end of the day.
I'm still rooting with him. I saw all the negativity and people, critics talking, but I think he's one hell of a fighter, and I think he's still the top dog.
People just don't like Tank. He looked sharp to me. People just be talking, Ennis said, and that's a real point. Every time Davis fights, there's a narrative waiting for him. If he wins easily, people say he cherry picks opponents. If he struggles, people say he's overrated. And now, even in a draw, the energy around him felt like he had taken an L. That's the cost of being a star in boxing. Fighters like Davis don't get to just win or lose fights, they get judged on an entirely different level. The expectations are so high that even a close fight turns into a controversy. And Ennis could see it for what it was. He wasn't about to pretend Davis looked bad when he clearly saw him controlling the early rounds, but he also wasn't about to act like Roach didn't have a case for a win.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So I feel like if you're gonna do.
And then there was the scoring confusion. Ennis mentioned that even if the knockdown was called, he thought the 9th round would have been scored 9. That's not how the boxing scoring system works. A round with a knockdown is typically 10-8 unless the knockdown fighter dominates the rest of the round. But even though Ennis got that part wrong, his bigger point stood. The missed knockdown wasn't necessarily the reason Davis avoided a loss. That's the perspective people weren't ready to hear. The truth is, even if that knockdown was counted, Davis still had a path to victory on the cards. Maybe it swings the fight in Roach's favor. Maybe it doesn't. But what Ennis saw was a fight that was already close before that moment, a fight that didn't have an obvious winner, and a fight that no matter what needed a rematch.
In the air too. He said he thought he won. I think I won. We got a draw, so it's mutual respect for each other's skill levels, and it's mutual respect for each other's will too.
And now that rematch is happening. The NYSAC gave their final ruling, and the WBA wasted no time ordering a second fight. Davis and Roach are about to run it back, and this time there won't be any confusion. No referee mistakes, no controversial scorecards. Just a fight where one man will leave no doubt. Ennis, for his part, probably won't change his stance. However, Lamont Roach has every right to feel frustrated. The New York State Athletic Commission had the chance to correct what many believe was a major mistake in his fight against Gervonta Davis, but instead, they stuck to their original ruling, a majority draw.
Tank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call the knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost.
In their statement, the commission openly admitted that referee Steve Willis made the wrong call in the 9th round when he failed to count a knockdown after Davis's knee touched the canvas. But despite acknowledging the error, they refused to change the result. That last part is what really got people talking. Roach isn't playing the victim. He's not begging for respect. He's looking forward to the rematch, and he's already carrying himself like the real winner. While Davis technically remains undefeated, the way the fight ended has made many question whether he truly deserved to walk away without a loss. This all boils down to one moment, the 9th round. Up until that point, the fight was competitive, with both men having their moments.
About that, but if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning.
Roach was aggressive, pushing the pace, while Davis showed his usual precision and power. But then came the moment that changed everything. Roach landed a flurry of punches, forcing Davis backward. As Davis tried to evade the shots, his knee touched the canvas, a clear knockdown by the rules of boxing. This wasn't just a small mistake. It was a massive moment that could have altered the fight's outcome. A knockdown in that round would have made it a 10-8 round for Roach, which could have tipped the scorecards in his favor. Instead, the fight continued without the knockdown being acknowledged, and the final result was a draw.
I must ain't do it enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on?
I didn't want to get caught. While my eyes was burning, and you can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take that.
What made the situation even worse was that the NYSAC, after reviewing the footage, admitted that Willis made the wrong call. They stated that the most appropriate decision would have been for the referee to count the knockdown. But then, in the same statement, they argued that the decision was ultimately up to the referee's discretion, and since he didn't count it, they wouldn't change the result. This left many boxing fans and analysts outraged. If the commission admits an error was made, then why not take action? Why acknowledge a mistake but still let the result stand? The inconsistency in their decision only fueled conspiracy theories that Davis, as one of boxing's biggest stars, was being protected.
We will never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin.
Now, even though the rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has been confirmed, one major next fight is now guaranteed to shake up boxing in a way no one expected. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez are now on a collision course, and with both men looking to make a statement, this fight might overshadow anything else happening in the lightweight and super lightweight divisions. The aftermath of Davis's controversial draw with Roach has left a lot of questions in the air, but with Stevenson and Lopez now being mentioned together more and more, the sport's attention is shifting toward a fight that could define an entire era. Teofimo Lopez has been vocal about his thoughts on both Davis and Stevenson. After Davis's performance against Roach, Lopez didn't hesitate to side with Tank if a fight against Stevenson were to happen.
And finally, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Gervonta Tank Davis situation. What was your assessment on his fight against Lamont Roach, and what are your thoughts on the knockdown that wasn't called in round 9?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good fight overall. Lamont, I always knew Lamont was, he wasn't coming late.
He believes Davis's explosiveness and power would be too much for Stevenson's defensive style. But at the same time, Lopez has also been watching Stevenson closely, knowing that a potential fight with him would be just as big, if not bigger, than anything involving Davis right now. Stevenson's last fight ended with a stoppage victory, but many felt he should have finished his opponent much earlier. This has led to more debate about whether his style is effective enough against an elite pressure fighter like Lopez. With Davis tied up in a rematch, the opening is there for Stevenson and Lopez to settle their own rivalry in the ring.
Is that the one you want next?
It's definitely the one I want next, but it's not gonna be next.
What is?
You might see it in a minute.
Lopez has always thrived when the spotlight is on him. His victory over Vasily Lomachenko in 2020 was one of the biggest upsets in recent boxing history. And since moving up to 140 pounds, he has continued to prove himself. A fight with Stevenson would not only bring him back into the lightweight conversation, but it would also give him an opportunity to show that he's still the most dangerous young fighter in the sport. Stevenson, on the other hand, has been looking for an opponent who will push him to prove his dominance.
Has there been any talks with Tank's team?
They reached out, but we told them to come back with an offer. And as far as that, we ain't hit nothing consistent. Me and him fighting each other, we'll seal the deal on
He has faced criticism for not taking risks in fights, but Lopez would force him into an all-out battle. The contrast in their styles makes this a must-see fight, with Stevenson's precision and defense going up against Lopez's aggression and counter-punching ability. With Davis and Roach set to fight again, there's no guarantee that Davis will come out looking any better than he did in the first fight. If Roach manages to make it competitive again, or worse, if he wins outright, then the entire lightweight division will be thrown into chaos. That's why the Stevenson-Lopez fight is so crucial.
I'm blessed with God-given eyes. A lot of people don't understand how good my eyes is. I can see really good. Like punches coming my way, I know how to get away from them at any given time.
It would give the sport a clear answer as to who is truly the best at lightweight at a time when Davis's future in the division looks more uncertain than ever. Stevenson might be seen as the more technical fighter, but Lopez has already proven he can handle elite-level competition. That's why this fight is so unpredictable. Another factor that makes this matchup even more interesting is the history of back and forth between these two. Lopez has never been shy about throwing verbal jabs at other fighters, and Stevenson has made it clear that he's not interested in backing down from anyone. The tension between them has been building for years, and now the perfect moment has arrived for them to settle it once and for all.
I think it'll be a chess match. I think it'll be a boxing match. People talk about his power. His power is great. You can clearly tell that he's cracking.
Stevenson, despite his undeniable skill, still has critics who question whether he has the ability to win an all-out war in the ring. Lopez, who has had some ups and downs since his win over Lomachenko, wants to remind the world that he's still at the top of his game. Both men need this fight for different reasons, and that's what makes it so intriguing. Right now, Lopez is preparing for his upcoming title defense against Arnold Barboza, but there's already talk that Stevenson could be next. If Lopez wins, there will be no excuses left. The fight is there to be made, and with Davis still occupied with Roach, there's nothing stopping it from happening.
3 people in the world that I think that could beat Tank. That would be Devin, that would be Shakur, and Tank Davis himself.
You got the last one right. That's the only person that can beat me. Gervonta Davis. That's the only person. Them niggas cannot touch me at all. They all been in the ring with me. They all been in the ring, and I cracked both of them.
Stevenson, on the other hand, has no confirmed opponent yet, and this is the exact kind of fight that would keep him in the spotlight while the lightweight division figures itself out. The rematch between Davis and Roach might be set, but it's not the fight that fans are most excited about anymore. Stevenson versus Lopez is the fight that has the most to offer in terms of legacy, action, and unpredictability. There are no guarantees in boxing, but one thing is certain. This fight is happening at the perfect time. Both men are at a crossroads in their careers, and this fight will determine who takes the next step toward true greatness.
The fight has got to happen. There's no way the fight don't happen. The best of the best versus the best, and I can't wait for it.
What would happen between you?
Whether it's Stevenson's sharp skills or Lopez's explosive power, only one man will come out on top. And with Davis's rematch still hanging in the balance, the winner of Stevenson versus Lopez might just become the new face of the division. What's your take? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.